we are eating and we are making our body sad. We are, you need to eat in order to make your body happy.
Right.
You know, for example, oh, running.
Yeah. Salute, sir. How are you?
Hey, how you guys doing?
Yeah. Well, I know I'm not supposed to salute without a cover, but
Hey, we're semi-civilians. Once a Marine, always a Marine. You know how that goes.
What was that word? Oh, you didn't
You know,
use the C word on me, did you?
I
Oh my
did.
gosh. Come on, bro.
I did.
How are you, my friend?
I'm doing well. Thank you very much.
Hey, thanks for coming on, man. Thanks for coming on. And
Oh, no problem, man. This is what I love having these conversations, as you can tell from the content and some of the panels you've seen me on. So,
yeah, we have grown folks conversations, and one thing I
exactly.
really, like I said, I admire about Harold, and I met Harold when he was 22. He's now 26. I've seen the growth and development of this young man, and he's very intellectual,
Mm-hmm.
and he didn't take classes of learning how to speak English. He learned it by movies. Isn't that right, Harold?
Movies and music.
So I'm telling you, man, these young people running, some of them are
Woke, supposedly.
Well, I would say some of them are very well grounded for the society that we have today.
Yeah.
They're surprisingly grounded.
Yeah.
You get what I'm saying? And there's contributing factors to the ones that are and the ones that are not.
Yeah.
So I would say that, yeah.
So one of the reasons I wanted to bring you up, my friend, is that you and I were speaking backstage, another platform, and you mentioned something that is very, very disturbing. We all know it to be true,
right?
But it's a conversation that we have. It's a conversation that we have to have, right? And what you said was that there are hundreds of servicemen and women who are experiencing mental trauma, and they decide to no longer continue in this existence.
Yes, sir.
What are some of the things that you think that we can do as a society that can aid and abet in helping one find their level of happiness, giving someone an additional why they do what they do, or why they need to be around? Much like Harold has found he's finding his ancestral happiness. Is there something? What can be done? How can we help these men and women, in your view?
From what I know, and how, even as Marines, through repetition and muscle memory, we start doing things without thought.
Yeah,
we're programmed. Okay, for a lesser term, we're a programmed type of personality and weapon. Unfortunately, the military does a great job at that part, but does not do such a good job when it comes to discharging us.
Okay. Yeah.
They teach us to compartmentalize our issues, because what is the most prevalent thing in our lives when we're in the military? Completing the mission.
Correct.
So while we're in the military, we're completing whatever missions and objectives they have in front of us. Compartmentalize all that other stuff. What do they say? If you're not dead, get up and go. You're not supposed to be complaining about anything. Yeah. So our mentality is constantly beat in our heads, whether you do 4 years, 8 years, 10 years, whatever. That's beat in your head. You never go back and address any of those issues. They compile themselves, and while they say it's called compartmentalized, okay, think about that. You're compartmentalizing things over years. That's built up pressure. So you have a lot of guys that don't know how to decompress that pressure.
Yeah.
And they succumb to it when they feel like there is no more mission for them, or they feel useless. You're talking about a mentality of alpha males, aggressive type of personalities that always want to be of service. Think about that. If you're a military person, you're of service. You're literally committing yourself to service of your country.
Yeah.
above
And
all.
and you make a very, very interesting point, Ron, and is that and I spoke a little bit about this with Harold. We have to have a bigger why. And so it starts in basic training. Especially, I don't know about others, but when we talk about the Marine Corps, that the fact that you're a Marine is supposed to, you're supposed to be a little less than a god, unless unless you're a colonel. but I digress. Right? So the idea though is they put in your mind that you are a cog in a greater wheel,
Correct.
and so once that's done, you lose your why. You lose your purpose for living.
I would
And
push back just a little bit and say you don't lose your why. Your why becomes greater, and it's only directed towards whatever they put in front of you.
well, I'm speaking in terms of when you're discharged
Oh, yeah. As an individual, yeah, you have.
as an
Yeah.
individual. Yeah, because being part of the group, I mean, come on, you know of guys that were injured
Yeah.
and they're injured and they're in the hospital or whatever it is, and they can't wait to get back to the unit
Exactly.
because they feel that they feel like they're letting their brothers and sisters down,
Exactly.
right? But and so I think one of the things that I do is I try to help people create their bigger why. If they're you, because when we talk about money and finances, and Harold can attest to this, everybody's chasing this piece of paper because they think the piece of paper is bigger than they are. But
Exactly.
and we've been taught and we've been trained since we're little to chase something that's outside of ourselves. And so when we get to a point where now we're not with the group, we have to face that person that we're looking in the mirror.
Mm-hmm.
That becomes very scary if you're not accustomed to it and you haven't been trained to do that. And when we talk about Johari window, things that that other people don't know, I can lie to you all day, but I can't lie to me.
Correct.
So,
Correct.
you also said that you have some experiences with some trauma from being in the service. Am I correct?
Oh,
How do
yeah.
you
I suffer from PTSD. I've been diagnosed,
how do
and
you how
I'm
do
on
you
medication.
deal with that on a daily basis to find your fortress of solitude? What do you do?
Well, I'm in my fortress of solitude right now.
Yeah, but I see that
You
weapon
know,
behind you with the scope,
hey,
though, friend.
that's for enjoyment. I actually built that from scratch over the pandemic, and I built it specifically to go elk hunting up in Utah and Wyoming.
It don't look like it. It
So,
looked like it hunt more than elk, my friend.
oh, it's definitely a secondary weapon for the other thing. I'm also a prepper, so I believe in the apocalypse and people wanting to take things from you when they have no other resource or recourse. So
Okay.
I definitely believe in that. So, um, but dealing with my PTSD, it definitely came from a lot of things that I had compartmentalized during my service time. I served in the original Gulf War, did Somalia, so I had seen some traumatic things. You
I
know,
like the way you put that. The original Gulf War.
right? Well, there's been a couple issues there.
Just want you to know I'm listening,
So,
my friend.
right. So, those traumas and what I've realized over my treatments, and yes, I had been put on medication to equalize my chemical imbalances, gone through plenty of years of therapy. And the bad thing with me is I was been in sales for almost 40 years. So I know how to put on an act. I know what to say, the right things and the wrong things to say in a board meeting with a CEO. I know how to put on what they used to call airs, right? But did that ever deal with the trauma that I had? No. So even when they tried to put me in the VA into group therapy, I said, nah, doc. I said, I know what to say in a group setting. I need a doctor to sit there and pull that out of me so I can deal with it, whatever issues there are that I need to deal with. And the nice thing is, I had a buddy that identified that in me way before I started seeking therapy. I was in my second marriage. He was an Air Force guy. He's a good friend of mine. Known him for almost 25 years, like a brother to me now. But he used to challenge me because I had that 1,000-mile stare type of personality where I barely smiled. I was still locked and cocked, even though I was a civilian. Barely smiled, did anything. I was just really driven. um, to achieve whatever it was. Two things. My mission stopped being the military and started being, because I was married and I had children.
Yeah.
My mission became my children and my wife, providing for them, doing all those things. So did I deal with the compartmentalized issues coming out of the military? No, I just went in and started completing my next mission. My next mission was raising my kids, making sure my wife and my kids were provided for in a comfortable manner, the best way I could.
Right.
I never dealt with that trauma, nor did the military allow me to or send me to, by mandatory nature, to deal with those traumas.
So I know that one of the things that in 2011, the United States military did adopt a positive psychology program for well-being. And
is it mandatory though, or is it once you realize you got an issue? You get what I'm saying?
Yeah, I understand. I understand completely. And to your point, it takes a different type of leadership to recognize the challenges that the people that they're working with, or I'm going to put it this way. It's very challenging for leadership to recognize that the people that they're serving, that they need to serve their people in a different way.
Correct.
Right? That sometimes it requires you to go outside of yourself to look and say, okay, what is it that my people really, really need, and how can I go about providing that for them? That's what servant leadership is all about. But as you and I both know, servant leadership is not
a
modus
directive
operandi of the day. Yeah. Right. And so, when I hear what you've just experienced, what you've just shared with us, and I hear what Harold wants to do with the ancestral lifestyle, it sounds to me that you two have something that's very in common, and that is you want to provide for your families, but at the same time you recognize that your families are only going to be as good as you are with your well-being, and that's something a lot of us men, we forget. That even though we want to provide for our families, if there's something that we are lacking, our families can't get to the highest level of self-actualization if we're not whole.
Absolutely.
So how do we get people, family and friends or whomever, how do we get them to recognize that, hey, you know what? You might want to talk to a counselor, or you might want to talk to a coach. You might want to at least just have a conversation with someone. It doesn't mean that doesn't mean that you don't have all your mental faculties.
Right.
But
or you're weak or defective in some way.
Yeah, we all need help, man.
Right.
Iron sharpens iron. We all need help. And I think it was said that 1 out of 8 people in the world, 1 out of 8 are suffering have suffered some sort of mental health issue, and 46% of all adults have had at least a mental health issue in their lifetime.
Oh yeah.
So
that's outrageous, and I would say that's a worldwide stat. Within the Black community itself, I would say it's even greater than that.
Why would you say that? Now, when you say in the Black community, I'm assuming that you're talking about North America.
Yes.
Okay.
Specifically.
Okay.
I can't speak to the other cultures in the other countries, right. But in Black America, you're already built up as a child with trauma. You have to worry about how you cross the street, how you speak to certain people. So it already teaches you some type of fear within your community, just because of who you are as a person within that community. For some reason, you're somewhat less than coming out the box.
Yeah.
Because you don't have 100% the freedoms that the country projects them to be giving you. So you're already starting behind the 8 ball per se, and it continues to grow through time with your experiences that you deal with way before you choose your life objective, your purpose. But I mean, I don't know if you recall, and I know you're of a certain age, and our parents used to talk to us about certain things you should or should not do, how to straighten up around certain people. so you don't project this type of image to where
Yes,
you would be looked at.
yes. We
That
had
I wanna
the code switch.
I wanna reinforce what Running has just said from
Mhm.
another point of view, where where people feel less than, right? Um, and taking on that approach, people are depressed and sad because they feel less than
Mhm.
as a result of comparing themselves to others. And the thing is, right now in society, we have bad role models.
Exactly.
Girls want to be Kardashians, boys want to be rappers and ballers and hustlers and
Mhm.
and you know and basically they think that the happiness is being famous, recognized, have a lot of money. And then when they don't they see and they face the harsh reality, they they develop depression. If you
Correct.
I've seen a video where they ask people, no, not people, children, what's their dream in America, children in America, and they say, "I want to have the iPhone 16 or 15. I I want to have a lot of money. I want to have a Lamborghini, and I want to be a billionaire." That's what the American children answer to that question, and then they
Mhm.
answer the question to some boys in and girls in Syria or Palestine, or and they just see they would say things like, I want peace. I wanna see my brother again.
Mm,
I wanna meet my father. So basically, we're exposed to bad role models,
Yeah.
and we need to show them and that there's a better why and a greater well-being. Do you think it's just coincidence that a stressed out worker clerk in a firm feels relaxed and happy when they go to the beach? They are barefoot in the white sand and they are eating a wild caught fish and shrimps. Do you think just by coincidence they feel happy and relaxed? They are living for a couple of weeks the life they are supposed to live, you know?
yeah,
and
yeah,
and they
Yeah.
heal and they feel happy. But then when they're back to the society, exposed to electromagnetism, and isolated from the ground under this white LED light and eating ultra processed foods, they're back to depression and anxiety again, you know.
yeah.
Oh yeah.
and
Definitely.
and then they're back complaining and feeling less than the people they're looking at their Instagram or their TikToks, and they see them traveling around the world, and they're not be able to do that, and they start
Yeah.
comparing themselves. And I think there's a quote: comparing yourself is the biggest thief of joy.
Wow.
True.
Yeah,
Very
definitely.
true statement.
Style King, salute us, Ronan. You got a fan base, bro.
Yeah, I
Uh,
got a little bit of, I got a little bit of a
got a fan.
following,
Dice,
but
hola, Ronan. Nuestra familia es humilde. Okay. And then nuestra family says,
we should address that. Yeah.
I'm scared to look for help because I'm worried about how people will judge me or criticize me. Oh, yeah, that is it's kind of what you were just talking about, Harold, is that comparing ourselves with others. And this is a real fear. And Ronan, I want you to kind of address this because this is that's a real fear. I'm going to pull it up again.
Along with your backing,
Yeah, yeah,
I understand the fear, and as especially as a man, an alpha man,
Especially
or
as a man.
a male of aggression.
Uber alpha man.
Uber, yes, you know, God forbid they don't realize. I seem mild and mannered and meek, and if you look at my pictures, I look like a babyface assassin, but
So,
that's exactly what I
let me
was.
let me just say this for the record. Some people look at me as a Negro.
Yeah,
I'll just leave it at that.
God only knows when you open up that can, they'll think of you as a demon. You know what I'm saying?
There's a difference. There's a
Yeah,
difference.
big difference.
So
But to his or her concern, it's more Ego.
Ooh.
I would say it's more of
Ooh.
accepting or admitting to possibly needing help or lacking something that causes you to have that kind of fear and wanting to get help. Because society projects that you need to be perfect in everything.
Yeah.
And that's what I talked about earlier with society projections and narratives. They
Mm-hmm.
want you to have that new car. They want you to have that big house. And once you get that house, you need to have a bigger house. And, back in the day in the 80s, they used to do Sweet 16. And they would make younger kids want all these grandiose things that these famous people were giving their children for their 16th birthday, even though they knew those parents that were raising those kids couldn't afford those things.
Mm.
It's making you feel like you're behind the eight ball so much that the parents are built with stress to be able to project or copy some of the things these kids naturally think you're supposed to be able to give them.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
lie on top of lie on top of lie that builds the pressure to put pressure on the adults and even the kids growing up into adulthood. And this is why I say we're already post-traumatic stress disordered as children growing up in the society because the pressure and the projection and the narrative society puts on you to be successful. And what outright is success? Because if you go to the Philippines, $300 a month is successful.
Yes.
And they
Yeah.
are happier with less money than we are here. And we could be making 60, 70, 80, 100K plus.
Yes.
Now the projection of a high value man is more about 6 figures, 6 foot plus, whatever you want to call it after that.
Right.
Is it really, or is it more money, more problems?
Yeah. When when you say ego, that hits home because many people, especially in the military, this is what people run off of is ego, right? Is that depending upon which branch, whether you're special forces, whether you're SEAL team, Delta, Marine, Force Recon, whatever it is, there's a certain level of bravado or ego that goes along with that. And even those who may not have been in the military or served or in the police force or what have you, being vulnerable is very scary, right? Because we want to be looked upon by people in our society as being valuable and being invalidated, if you will. But when we talk about money, we're talking about pieces of paper.
Right.
If I have it in here. Yeah, I got a piece of paper. 2,000 pesos, piece of paper.
1,000
Right?
pesos.
2,000 pesos, right? 50 cents.
50
Or
cents.
or for
Not much.
my Cleveland fan base, 50 cent. Okay. So
Right.
and they make pieces of paper every single day. And if I change the color of this piece of paper to just white, it's a notebook paper, I have a different value to it.
Correct.
So the value that we put on things is it's intrinsic and subjective.
Correct.
And we put more value on pieces of paper than we do ourselves. Why? Because we chase pieces of paper, but pieces of paper should be chasing us.
Exactly.
So when to nuestra familia humilde, when we're talking about being afraid of being judged, that's a real fear, and I empathize with that fear. But I want to implore upon you that you put more value upon yourself than what other people think about you. Because we were born in this world alone, we're going to leave this world alone. And so you are the most important piece to this world. This world does not exist without you. So please take care of you before you take care of anything else. You have to, because you're that valuable. Yes. You are that valuable. I have several people in my network that are insurance agents. And one of the things that they talk about is purchasing life. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
You see all those certificates behind me? That's
okay.
what I do.
You're in my network.
Financial planning and retirement.
Okay.
So I'm in that arena. I'm a fiduciary.
So let's talk about this. I'm glad you stopped me and you brought this up. When a person signs up for a life insurance policy, what's their mindset?
Um, Several. Some they're looking to be able to leave something for their children or their wife, their significant other, whatever.
That ain't the majority, but go ahead.
But yeah, um,
The
the
other,
others are driven by whatever it is, and there's plenty of life insurance vehicles.
right,
So specifically, I don't know if it could be retirement. Like I do a lot of I don't like to tell people to invest in the stock market. There's safer vehicles if you're talking about retirement that you can be putting into that have insurances, liquidity
correct,
to them,
right,
versus hedging your bet on somebody's company that could have somebody cooking the books within the company. It fails and you lose your retirement, the valuable thing that you want when you're ready to stop working.
correct.
you know so retirement is another thing besides for the death benefit. And people call it life because it's comfortable to say life, but really and intrinsically what you're buying is a death policy. You were
Correct,
talking about the mortality of your life when you buy life insurance,
correct,
and they have actuarials that will go through and look at who you are as an individual, the type of job that you have, and they know to the damn near year that you potentially, if you continue down that road, how
yeah,
long you could potentially live for, and that's how they come up with your premium.
correct. And so for most people, what they do is they find that they want to find out, well, how much do I have to pay a month for whatever the death benefit,
Premium
whatever
is also, yes, an
the
issue.
death benefit is, or what the benefit of someone else will have. Okay.
Mhm.
And so if you look at it from a goalpost perspective, they kind of go like right in the middle because they don't want to spend too much and don't want to spend too little. So like right in the middle. So the idea then is they think that they're more valuable dead than they are alive,
Which is a sad case.
which is a sad case because what we're talking about is the ability for a person to create value.
Mhm.
And everybody has that ability to create value. It's not the pieces of paper that are valuable, it's the individual that's valuable. And that's the thing that we should start focusing more on is the
Mhm.
individual, not the pieces of paper.
To add to it, I don't want to stop your point. The government backs on your individual value.
Oh yeah.
With that birth certificate, they leverage the national GDP off of population and the value you bring to the country overall. That's how we are the top nation based on production, is because of population and the value each one of us bring to the federal government. So if the government puts value on your life, why don't you?
Not only that, I have a document that is from 2011 that actually has e pluribus unum as that shows e pluribus unum as the trust, and the collateral states all real men with arms and legs is the
Exactly.
collateral of the debt of the United States.
That is the point of your birth certificate. Because several years earlier, there was no such thing as needing a birth certificate. They just
No.
recorded your birth, and that was it.
Well, we're talking about 1930. Well, this is a whole nother.
Yeah.
This is a whole
Yeah.
nother
We're going
show.
off topic, but yeah,
Yeah,
it's a deep hole you can go jump down,
yeah.
really.
But I'm just going to say this, and this is how one of the services that Harold offers as well. But we're not going to go deep into that. But Harold did talk about the financial services, and that's kind of one of the things that he said. So NC King says, "Let the young man talk." Okay, sorry, NC King, but what did I stop you from talking, Harold?
No, not at all. I'm learning as you guys speak.
Nice.
And yeah, I'm very surprised that Ronnie mentioned about the lien against our birth certificate as collateral, because it's true, and it's written, and there's a way you can get yourself off of that, and protect yourself against the government when it comes to preserving your assets, and basically guarantee that your wealth is going to be enjoyed by your loved one, instead of ending up in the hands of the ruthless government, you know.
Absolutely, absolutely. And like I said, man, Harold is very, very intelligent, very, very smart.
Yes, he
Um,
is.
He also one of the things that he was talking about, we're talking about happiness. One of the things that he mentioned to me is, and I'm amazed at how well or how good a researcher Harold is. He mentioned to me, he said, I think he said in LinkedIn, there are a lot of companies now that are, I don't know if they're leasing employees or that they actually find virtual assistants overseas that will actually do work for companies in the US. Is that, you're shaking your finger?
Yes, that's very true.
Yeah.
I'm getting ready to do it myself, man. Are you kidding me? I'm about to leverage some Filipinos to do some work for me. Yes, absolutely, they do that.
Okay.
Call
How did
centers
you?
and everything else are located in India and the Philippines. Wherever there's cheap labor, they're going to leverage that for the benefit of profit to the bottom line company.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
yeah, he's right.
Are you doing any of that, Harold? Are you looking to do any of that?
Oh yeah, right now I've been a bookkeeper. I've been a billing clerk, and I'm looking to become an accountant and increase my income. But like I said, is not about what I'm gonna do. It's about the final goal, which is buying and building my farm. You know.
Okay. So I want to
Mhm.
talk real quick, and we've been on for about an hour and 20 minutes, but this is kind of be the last topic I want to discuss. And then Ronan, you and I are going to be talking about how another show in the future. But
Okay.
I want to talk about the difference between a goal and a mission. Is there a difference in your minds between a goal and a mission? And I'll start with Harold because I don't want to get NYC King angry with me. So I'm going to start with Harold. Harold, do you believe that there's a difference between a goal and a mission?
And I see the mission as the way as a step that you must accomplish to reach your goal. But I'm not 100% sure about the definitions or the
Okay.
objective meaning of the words.
Okay. Okay. Ronan.
For me, I would say a goal could be a short term objective that you want to achieve, but the mission could be a longer term situation.
Okay.
Overall, his mission is to not only own a farm, but leave generational wealth for his children, his great grandchildren, type of
Yeah.
thing. That's
Yeah.
the overall mission. But in
Yeah.
order to get to that mission to complete it, he has individual goals. The main
Oh,
thing in sales, what do we
it
say?
was the other
You
way
know,
around.
what
Yeah.
the other way of saying is, how do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time. You're not going to get that whole elephant at once. That
Correct.
farm, whatever that mission is, you're going to have
Right.
to take little
Little,
objectives each time in order to
little
get further down that road to complete that mission, if
Yeah.
you ever complete it in your lifetime. But at the same time, you're achieving many victories
Yeah. Yeah.
towards the overall mission.
Yeah, absolutely. And so that goes to the bigger why, in my
Yeah.
view, is that, the bigger why is, I'll use um, as the example is when the king was going to build the temple for the Most High, he realized that he was going to die and that his son Solomon was going to have to be the one who has to finish it. So
Right.
what he did was he made sure that all the materials were in place so that Solomon can complete the temple. And so the mission was to build the temple. The goal was the short-term objectives in order to have that long-term mission to be completed. So our society today is so goal oriented and it makes it very short term. And so it's like I said before, it becomes very hedonistic. What's the goal? What are your goals? Where do you want to be in 5 years? Okay, well, I want to be here in 5 years. Bang, 5 years happen. Now what? You have to look for, you got to go to the next thing, right? But if you're looking at your greater why, if you're looking at your purpose in life, if you're looking at something that is, you behold something greater than yourself, then each action and activity that you do is now designed to reach that greater mission.
Right.
And so I think that both of you are absolutely correct, and you both are an example of mission-driven success as opposed to goal orientation. And I want to thank both of you for being on my show and blessing me with your presence. I'm going to give you the floor. Harold, is there any last thing that you want to say to the group?
Always educate yourself and find the truth.
That was very short and to the point. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
So, Ronan, I'll go ahead and let you. Any last words that you have?
I say the biggest thing to making yourself happy or getting to that point of being happy is understand who self is. Who are you? What drives you? What is your base? What is your, not only your why, but what are the things that make you tick? And self-awareness, or to thine own self be true, comes to mind. If you look at my name, you'll see an identifier, INFJ. That's for my own research of understanding who I am, and it's a personality. Everybody can take this test. It's called 16 personalities. You know, um, Once you start digging into your whys and who you are and why you do certain things, what are your angst and why they are, you start understanding yourself so that you can be more successful. If you still have a question about yourself, you can't be any help to anybody else. The deeper understanding is knowing you. Then you can push yourself out to be successful in other things.
Powerful statement, my friend. Very, very powerful. And I really, really appreciate that. And folks, I really appreciate you all joining in, watching this podcast, this broadcast. And I want you all to remember that we are what we continually do. Excellence then is not an act, but a habit. Until next time, you're watching How to Be Happy TV. Thank you all.
Thank you.